Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today we will be reviewing Emerald City Season 1, Episode 6, Beautiful Wickedness. And I really liked this week's episode. We get in the opening scene, Dorothy and Wizard continuing their conversation from last week, and we get a lot of questions answered about how the wizard got there and who Dorothy is. In fact, we pretty much got all the questions answered. And we get to learn that the wizard was a person who was working, it seems he was working for an energy company. And they were experimenting with wind energy. And they were doing this by using a machine that could create a tornado. And of course, by being able to do that, they could use this wind energy for power. And we learned that the wizard, in his formal life back in our world, he was not very well respected. He wasn't, he wanted to be a doctor, but he wasn't. He wanted to be involved in a lot of the experiments they were doing, but he was more so like an assistant or errand person. He was very not happy with his life, in our world. But we get to learn that through the conversation that there is an accident with one of the experiments with these tornadoes, and as the wizard and the rest of the staff go over to try to figure out what's going on, one of the doctors there, his name is Roberto, and there was also Dorothy's mom there, and she was actually a doctor as well, and there was another doctor present, and I can't remember their names, but Roberto, he runs over to try to fix part of the experiment. I believe a safety door or something comes open, or they're trying to contain this thing as it's getting away, and he's caught in danger, and everybody kind of rushes off to save him. But in the process of that, the wizard, we come to find out that throughout the process where he could have safely stopped the experiment or stopped the out of control tornado, he didn't do it. That he, in a sense, sabotaged, the situation. And what I also liked about this week's episode was that it unlike a lot of the other stories about Oz, how it's explained how they get to Oz through some type of magic or something like this. I like this description and interpretation of how they got to Oz, where it's more so they use science to get to Oz other than magic. So it's kind of scientifically explained, and I just also find it interesting that they were using the term vortex, and that it created this vortex through the tornado. And very interesting enough, sometimes when you look at a tornado or whirlwind, and then you go out in space and look at a black hole, their patterns seem very similar, and both theoretically can open up places to other gateways, or more so the black holes can. But I just found that interesting how they kind of, in this scientific sense, gave us this description of how this tornado was actually this vortex into another, I guess, dimension or world. And we get the captain of the Wizards Guard again, and basically this is after the Scarecrow turned himself in, and it would seem that the captain of the guard is still trying to, help, you know, help him understand who he was. And I was a little bit confused by this scene because at first I thought that the captain of the guard and the Scarecrow are really, really close friends, which I think they are in a sense, but it's just this weird statement he makes about how, just like the Scarecrow, he's done all these horrible things, but he can remember the horrible things he did, and the Scarecrow can't. So it's almost, and he wants the Scarecrow to get all those memories back so he can, it's almost like he's saying that so they can kind of be in the same boat. So I didn't quite understand where he was going with that, like if he was saying that it's a good thing he should get his memories back and face the things he's done like he's done, or I didn't really get that part so much, but it does, whatever's going on with these two, they share something together, that's important. And it hasn't totally been revealed, I don't think, yet, what that is. But it's a little bit something more going on with these two characters as far as their entire backstory. But, basically we got Scarecrow, and, he's turned himself in, but they're going to, through magic, give him back his memories so they can peer into his mind and see what's going on with him, why he, killed the guards, and the Witch of the West is actually on her way there to do that. Okay. And there's the Witch of the West as she arrives, and again, she's going to try to use her mind reading powers to try to figure out what's going on with Scarecrow. This is the princess, and we recall last week that, she didn't want to help the wizard, that, she was going to leave the city. And she's, at this point, she's still pretty much in the same, mindset that, she wants Emerald City to fall, much like their kingdom did. And this is just the Witch of the West doing her mind reading on the Scarecrow, and also Dorothy, through the wizard, she's learned a lot about how the wizard got there. But Dorothy also learned that she was the daughter of Roberto, who was the person who was actually killed in the incident. And although, and her mom was pregnant with her before they left, into the vortex or into the tornado. So although Dorothy is from our world or Earth, she was actually born in Oz. So she's interesting. She's kind of like a child of two worlds, in that sense. And she's born in Oz, but she was returned back to Earth. And we get to understand why that happened. The reason that, as the wizard went to Oz and he started to build this new world for himself, him and Dorothy's mom, and there was another doctor woman with them. They basically end up there where the Munchkins are, as they're all sucked up into the vortex when Roberto dies. But they get in the Munchkin village, and they seem to be living pretty much in peace with the Munchkins. But and I can't recall the witch, but the doctor woman, not not Dorothy's mom. She goes to she has this talk with this witch, and the witch is explaining to her that they have to leave Oz because by them being there, it's creating some type of ripple in the fabric of their world or something like that. And so, what I'm getting at my speculation, and I'll explain what my speculation is at the end. But basically, they're not supposed to be there, and so everybody wants to leave but the wizard because the wizard doesn't like his life back. He feels he was a nobody, that this is a new world where he can be someone, and Dorothy's born there, and they're all pretty happy, it seems, as long as they felt like they didn't have to leave there. So the wizard doesn't want to leave. He seems happy with Dorothy's mom and the newborn Dorothy, and so he's refusing to go. He's letting them know, hey, I'm not leaving here. I don't care, basically what happens. And so, um, and so Dorothy in this scene with the witch, trying to extract the memories of the scarecrow, she's basically received all this information with the wizard, but she's become also aware that the scarecrow was there through conversations with the wizard. And so she wants to go down there, see the scarecrow, try to convince him, not to go through with this because the dangers involved with it. He can become, I guess, like lobotomized, or he can, lose his mind. And so, Dorothy was trying to talk him out of it for his safety, but the scarecrow is determined to know who he is. And this is a scene with the king. The king, his state of mind has seemingly worsened, and he's wandering around looking for an old dog of his. I believe that's been dead for many years now. And this is an interesting scene. The scarecrow does get his memories back, through the witch's spells and mind reading, but he also learns that he learns that somehow he's in league with Glinda. Either Glinda hired him, and that seems what happens. And she hired him to protect Sylvie. And we find out that Glinda has betrayed the wizard in Oz, and that what she's found a way to create new witches, and it's either through Glinda herself or the Witch of the South, whom we thought was dead. And we also find out that the Witch of the South, which I erroneously thought she died of natural causes, she actually died in the last time that the Beast Forever came. And she died in that incident. But apparently, Sylvie and a small army of other witches have been reborn. And they're building an army to take Oz back. And this is all the information we get from the mind reading with the Scarecrow. So apparently the Scarecrow was involved in this. So Sylvie and Toto are hiding, as they were hidden by Dorothy before Dorothy entered into the palace with the wizard. And so this is the council of the witches again, or they were hired by the witches to serve the wizard. And the thing is, everybody's in on the entire council was in on Glinda trying to create more witches, or this plan for them to create a group of witches to take back Oz. But the main assistant to the wizard, and her name escapes me as well, again, I think it's Ava or something like that, but she wasn't aware of it, but she's made aware of it in this scene, and she's kind of caught. She's now in a bad place because, she's become fond of the wizard, it seems, and they've developed this friendship. And but now she's caught between serving the witch's council and serving the wizard, and she's being made aware that her goal was never to serve the wizard, but to serve them. And this is just another scene where Dorothy's trying to convince the Scarecrow that, hey, this is a bad idea. You can end up losing your life or your mind behind this. And this is an interesting scene. As we recall, Jack, or AKA the Tin Man, him and the princess are still in Oz, and they're preparing to leave Oz to return home. But as the Witch of the West arrives in Oz to mind read with the Scarecrow, she brings Tip with her. So Tip and the Tin Man get this reunion as they cross paths as they're leaving, and Tip is just so surprised to see Jack because, of course, she thought she killed Jack. But Jack isn't very responsive to Tip. In fact, he's very upset with her for leaving him to die. And so he basically reveals to her what her actions, what the results have of them have been in his present state, how his body he's mostly mechanical now. And so he basically blames Tip, for it, and Tip wants him to stay, but the princess comes in and takes him away, and basically tells him that Tip is responsible for what's happened to him, and of course that leaves Tip in a very bad place. And so this is a scene with the wizard, and of course this is the wizard still trying to convince the princess that hey, you need to help us. And he's showing her a bullet he managed to get from Dorothy, and how he was able to get the bullet. He was trying to get the gun, but of course Dorothy wouldn't give him the gun, but she did let him have a bullet in exchange to see the Scarecrow. That's how she got to see the Scarecrow. And so with the bullet, the wizard is trying to explain to the princess that, hey, with this technology, if we can produce more of these through your help, with using charcoal and other elements necessary to make gunpowder, we will be able to defeat the beast that's coming. We will be able to kill the beast that's coming with this technology. And this is just Tip involved with the procedure that the Witch of the West did to mind read Scarecrow's mind. For some reason, it required that she bring in Dorothy as well, or I think maybe Dorothy requested to be involved, that she was worried about the Scarecrow and she wanted to make sure no harm came to him. Don't remember the complete details, but apparently it's done in a way where all three of them are kind of connected into this mind meld. And this is the captain of the guard, and he's become aware that the Witch of the North has created this army of witches, and he's basically, let the wizard know he should have never trusted them. And again, just the captain of the guard in his visit to Scarecrow. Basically, in this scene, he's letting Scarecrow know that, that he's basically on their side, and that he means to help them. And in this scene, this is Dorothy leaving to basically go. She's actually being helped to escape by the captain of the guard. Well, not escape, but he's helping her to find Sylvie, because the plan at this point is for the Scarecrow and Sylvie to escape and go back to meet with Glinda. And so the captain of the guard, he's involved in it to the point where he's helping Dorothy to get Sylvie, so both her and Sylvie can join the Scarecrow and they can all leave together. So the captain of the guard is very much working with them, although he's an insider with the with the wizard, but he's still working. He's working with them from the inside to help them out. And this is just a scene where one of the wizard's assistants, who was assigned by the witches, are explaining to Scarecrow what exactly his mission is or what he's supposed to do next, and it's to the point where he has to meet in a safe house en route to get to Glinda. And this is just, I believe her name is Ava again. I could be saying it wrong, but this is her just contemplating what position she's in now, because she's caught in the middle between, do I go back and do I explain to the wizard that I didn't know about this and that they've been plotting your demise all along, or do I continue to play the role I was really assigned to play? And this is a scene, this was a very, shocking scene where the wizard, somehow he was able to get the gun from Dorothy. In fact, it possibly, Dorothy may have given him the gun, in order to see the Scarecrow. But somehow he came into, to access with the gun. And I'm starting to believe that he may have stole the gun, because as I recall earlier in the episode, he gave Dorothy only negotiated with the bullet. He only asked for one bullet, so he had to steal the gun, at some point during her exit out. But in this scene, the wizard is showing the princess a demonstration to convince her to help them out, to show him what the technology and what a gun can do. And he actually, in a very terrible scene, he shoots Ava, who he's been close with all this time, and he shoots her because he becomes aware of this plan through the Witch of the West. When she reads the Scarecrow's mind, he's aware of all the people who were involved in this, and all the assistants that were sent were basically sent, to basically betray the wizard. And so the wizard becomes aware of this, and although Ava wasn't given details to that degree, the wizard still believes that she is part of it, so he shoots her, and it appears that she might be dead. And this is a scene with Ava when she was assisting the Scarecrow, and, well, basically not assisting, but she was putting the device on him, the necessary devices for the Witch of the West to read, to read his mind, or restraint the restraints that were necessary. And this is just a scene when the witch's assistant or the wizard's assistant is freeing the Scarecrow and Dorothy, and letting them know, that was the Scarecrow's mission all along. Just another scene with the princess witnessing the shooting. The Witch of the West informing the wizard and the captain of the guard of the plan that she got from the mind read of them to create more witches. And another thing that was interesting about this scene is the Witch of the West seems to be very much against magic. She, like the wizard, and I don't understand her full backstory with this. Something must have happened, but she doesn't seem to embrace magic anymore. She seems to share the vision with the wizard that magic should be maybe not a part of Oz anymore. And not exactly sure why that is yet in the story, but she seems very much against Glinda and all of her plans. And this is just a scene where the wizard found out about the betrayal of the witches, and he's basically looking down at Ava, trying to figure out what he's going to do about her. This was a scene where the Scarecrow looks like when he was basically first returning to, or I'm sorry, going into Emerald City. And so I really like this week episode because we got a lot of the answers about the wizard, why he got, how he got there, and why he didn't leave. And so I want to give my a few predictions of what happened concerning Dorothy's mom and what happened to them, why she fled, and how the Beast Forever is involved in all this. So, as we see in the beginning of the Emerald City story, we see Dorothy and her mom. Dorothy as a baby, she's running back to, deliver, to leave Dorothy at someone's home to take care of her. So, this is what I think happened. I think Dorothy's mom understood that they were causing the Beast Forever just by being there. So, I think anytime a person's in Oz that doesn't belong there, it creates this ripple effect. And as long as they stay there, they're creating the Beast Forever, which also might kind of be somewhat, why they think the wizard created the stone monsters, because his being there actually may have caused the Beast Forever to come because he didn't belong there. And Dorothy's mom was trying to get out of there knowing that information, but he stayed. She was trying to get out of there so they wouldn't destroy Oz or Dorothy wouldn't be hurt in that. But the wizard, he's causing the Beast Forever to come. And I'm starting to think now Glinda is trying to mount this army because Glinda understands that if they get rid of the wizard, it'll stop everything. Because and the wizard, as we got from his earlier scenes when he first got there, he's not going back because he's become this very important figure in Oz, and he has nothing left back home, he believes. He has nothing, and so he refuses to leave, and he already knows that he's not supposed to be there. Whether or not he understands he's causing the Beast Forever at this point, not certain. But I think at this point, even if he does discover, or if he didn't know it, that he's causing the Beast Forever, I don't believe he's going to leave. I think he's gonna. So that's where we're at with this week's story. We also, I think, going back to the Cowardly Lion, or the Captain of the Guard being him, I think he is kind of fulfilling that character more so every week, because although we see him helping them and assisting them, I think the steps that Scarecrow took, or the position that Scarecrow was in with helping the witches and being on the opposing side of Emerald City, I believe that may have first been the Cowardly Lion's task. That maybe it was offered to him first, but he was too afraid to take the task, and the Scarecrow took it. And I think that might be where his fulfilling the Cowardly Lion role comes in. And we haven't seen him as a lion yet, but there is a figure in armor that looks like him in some of the earlier trailers, with him wearing like a lion headdress. And I've never seen him wear a helmet yet. So I'm thinking that lion headdress may be his part of his battle armor, or part of his battle dress. But again, a very good episode. I liked how it wrapped up. I like where it's going now. I don't know if the wizard's assistant Ava is dead or not. She looks in pretty bad shape. But I hope, guys, you enjoyed this week's episode as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care, folks.